Good morning, everyone, and welcome to What Is It Wednesday. I know a few of you guessed right away from what our picture was yesterday from Trivia Tuesday. Of course, this is a fish head. Today, for the Barnes Museum's What Is It Wednesday, we are going to be talking about some of the oddities that we have in the collection that really weren't seen as oddities back in the day when the family lived here. And a lot of these things we're going to talk about are still in practice today. But this fish head right here, I'm going to pan out and show you. Bradley Barnes himself caught this fish. This is a square-tailed trout. And Bradley caught this in Bangor, Maine in 1916. And he did have this taxidermied by the Crosby Taxidermy Company. In 1916, and this hangs in our office. And many people, when they walk into the office, they kind of look at it and they look for that button that the new fish have nowadays. No, there's no button. No, he doesn't sing to us while we're working in the office. He's 106 years old, and Bradley's actual taxidermied fish. So we're kind of glad he didn't sing. If he started to sing, I think I'd run out of my office. But Bradley had several taxidermied pieces throughout his entire life, and we do have some of those in the collection. Right behind our Bangor square-tailed trout, we have this cute little goat right here. This was Bradley's toy from Bradley was born in 1883, and this was one of his baby toys. Baby toys today, we still have pull toys just like this. However, many of them are not made of actual goat fur the way that this was done today, or the way that this was done way back when. Remember, today we have the technology to recreate faux fur to be almost completely lifelike, and back in the 1880s, that type of technology was not readily available. So they used the materials they had on hand, and goat fur, this is our little goat fur baby toy that was Bradley Barnes from the early 1880s. I also have a couple of birds behind here. On the left, we have a western meadowlark, and on the right, we have a common grackle. I lovingly call them Bert and Ernie. These also sit in my office and kind of stare at me as I'm doing my work during the day. Let's take a peek at the western meadowlark. He has the beautiful yellow brilliance. And this is quite old. These were Bradley's. We do not have information on exactly when these were purchased in the house, however. We still have mysteries, so many mysteries of the Barnes Museum. And every single day, we learn more and more about the collection and more about the items within the collection as we're able to research them and catalog and photograph, and as people come in with more information. But these in particular, we do not know when Bert and Ernie, the meadowlark and the beautiful meadowlark and the grackle, came into the house. But again, they do sit in our office, and they've been here ever since. Let me give you a photograph of what these would look like alive. I have printed off a photo right here. We have the meadowlark right there, the beautiful yellow stomach and the speckled markings on the back. And then the grackle, even with its wing, the tail is in the back, but its wing, I know it's hard to tell from this photo, is a little off to the side, very similar to the one that we have in our collection. Now, one of the other things I'd like to show you, and we have a few of these in the house, we have some furs in the house, and this in particular is one of our mink stoles. Now, especially young children who come into the house, they get kind of scared about this. You know, you see the faces of the actual mink, and it is creepy. And it's not something that we see every single day. So what I try to explain to people who come into the house that are a little creeped out by seeing a dead animal like this is that this is part of history. By having pieces such as this, we can understand technology, we can understand cultural norms, and we can understand where we've come from and where we're going in the future. And remember, as a human race, we've worn furs for
thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. Our early human ancestors would hunt and tan hides to keep themselves warm, especially in the cold weather that is coming upon us now that we have entered fall. Now, taxidermy itself, the ancient Egyptians are commonly referred to as the first people to kind of really use taxidermy methods rather. It's different. It's a different type of taxidermy. They certainly weren't putting birds on sticks like this and in a natural setting like you see in many museums today. Excuse me. They were doing it more for their cultural norms and their belief systems, and their preservation techniques that they had used in mummification can be seen in many Egyptian tombs. Their cats, their birds, and other animals that they held sacred and dear and were beloved pets. So taxidermy itself kind of started all the way back in earliest wise with the ancient Egyptians. Now, Europeans really started to use fur as clothing as a fashion statement, especially in the 1800s. And unfortunately, fur farms began to come into existence around the 1870s. And it wasn't until over 100 years later in the 1980s that heavy animal activism came into existence and hopefully is putting a stop to suffering of animals that we certainly don't want to see anymore and harm beautiful, beautiful species throughout the world. Now, Bradley received gifts like this. Not only did he catch fish and put them on display and have them taxidermied or get little toys such as his little goat, but he would also receive Christmas gifts of taxidermied items, including one from 1894. We have a diary entry that says, "I hung my stockings up last evening and found them full this morning. Grandpa called Mr. Pratt, who brought me a nice charm pencil and a book. Ma and Pa gave me a nice hair horse, which they got from New York, and they got me a lovely mat for my room." And this is the sad part, folks. "It was made from the skin of my kitty tiger that had passed away due to a tragic accident." And he received that as a gift. Now, I know that my children would not be very excited about a mat like that. But again, this tells us the difference in cultural norms. Death over the years, we talk about spooky things a lot in October. It's seen so differently now that people are living longer than it was in the past. And as people had shorter lifespans. And we hear a lot in the diaries about the deaths of animals, about the deaths of people all around them, and we can learn about what is happening through those diary entries. So a few oddities of the Barnes Museum. I know a creepier subject for some today, but I hope you've learned a little bit today about some of the fun oddities of the Barnes Museum, and you've enjoyed exploring some of these behind the scenes features as we walk through October in What Is It Wednesday for the Barnes Museum. I hope you have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one.